Hi, for today's video I'm going to show you a lovely stained glass card. Really pretty with the different colors of the glitter behind the cutouts. Now I'll show you the dies we'll be using. I have from the Noble dies, I have the Ornate pierced rectangles. I'm going to have a flower from the classic rose. The sentiment will sit onto the pierced flags. And I've also got, out of the finishing touches, the delicate fronds, just as a little added extra feature around the flower. And the other things I'll be using are the Delightful Sentiments, which is a clear stamp set, and the checkerboard pinpoint embossing folder, just to give a little texture to our background. So I think I will start with the background. First off, I've gone ahead and cut an aperture using the outer ring on the Ornate pierced rectangles, and I'm going to emboss this aperture piece. So I'll put it inside of our checkerboard folder, and because it's geometric, you just want to kind of line it up so it's nice and straight. Okay, I'm going to pop that base plate and raspberry plate around that and feed it through the grand caliper. There we go. So we've got a beautiful texture from this pinpoint. Let me just peel that up and I'll show you just how pretty that is. So you can see I've also got the piercing from the die, but then I've got the lovely pinpoint all the way around. So it gives you a really nice textural feel to that background. So I'll set that aside. I've got one I've done ahead, and I've just put a little bit of mounting foam on there and mounted it with some white card in the middle of that. And just so I can start to layer up, I'm going to go ahead and put that into the middle of my background that I've created. A little bit of glue on the background. We'll just glue that into place, right in the middle of our pierced borders. There we go, that's really nice. Okay, so I'm going to kind of work from the center up now. The next thing we've done is I've taken the insert from that classic adorned frame and cut it with the outside edge there and created a really nice, pretty little decorative edge. I've got a silver backing piece that I'm going to glue together. And so the silver will come and show around or through the insert and give a really nice decorative piece for my stained glass. There we go. Match that up. Okay. Give that a second to glue. And I'm going to recess that down into that aperture. So a little bit more glue on the back. And pop that down. And then you can just pick up the edge there and tuck it right into place. Make sure it's seated in there beautifully. There we go. So I'm starting to build up that card from the middle outward now. Okay, so the next section is the stained glass. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and used the inside die here with the inside cutting edge, and I've cut that out of white. So I've got this beautiful piece, and on the back of that, I've added a piece of clear acetate, okay? So we're going to work from the back. Now, what you need to do is, first off, put a little bit of an anti-static pad across that, and that'll help the glitter go on and off easier. And I'm going to use some little pieces underneath me here. Now, the important thing with stained glass is to pick out your colors, and you need to start with the darkest color first. Ordinarily, you'll build up things the other way around. So the interesting thing for this is if you use the darkest one last, when you tap it off, it can go over some of the other colors and change the color of them. So if you do it first, a lighter color on the back of it won't have a problem. So pick the areas that you want to have whatever color you want. So on mine, I'm going to do these areas here in this dark gunmetal color. So I'm going to use a little bit of Cosmic Shimmer Dries Clear Glue and just pick out the sections that I want and add my glue on. You don't need it too thick, just work it around. You don't want to try, you want to try and avoid getting air bubbles in there. There. but you can pick out any of the sections that you want. So let's see, we'll do this little bit, and I'll tell you what, I'll just do some bits and pieces because I've got one I've prepared earlier, but I just want you to see the different ways. So let's say I've done all of my gunmetal gray, so I'll go ahead and tap that on. And this is your polished silk glitter. It's really nice and fine. Okay, so you can give it a little tick, take off all the extra bits, and pop that right back into the container. And remember, you would be doing all of your gray areas first, okay? And I always recommend doing a little bit of a change out so you don't contaminate your colors and get a new piece there. So the next, I'd say this rose copper is probably the next darkest color, so we'll use it. Bring that back over, and let's say the center section here we want rose colored, and let's say this section here. So we'll do a few of these, so just get the idea. There. And then just make sure you get it all over the clear part of that. So we'll pop some rose copper onto that. And see how there's not a problem pouring it all the way across that, okay? But it does pick up that first color, and that's why it's important to use your darkest colors first. Put that one back into place. And then let me get the last piece of copy paper here. And we'll move on, just do a tiny bit of the silver chrome here. And I'll do this little section up here so you kind of get the idea. But you want to do the entire color, all the pieces that you want that color each time. Okay, a little bit of silver, pop that off, put that back into your container. There we go. Now, what you need to do is leave this aside to dry for 24 hours because the front is going to look wet. You'll just see white. And as that dries, the color will come up, and what you'll have is something that looks like this. And it's just beautiful to watch it appear magically. So if you have any little white spots that are still showing, it isn't quite dry yet. So just leave it for a little bit longer, all right? But this one is good and dry. So we're going to go ahead and seat this. I've put a little bit of mounting foam on the back, just to raise it up in the center of our aperture. So pretty like that. That looks good. Okay, I'm going to do a little teeny bit more cutting too. Now I've created a frame that I'll put on the outside of this, and I'll show you how I've done it. Because I just love the way these nobles have different sizes, so you can mat and layer, and you can create little frames that keep your card interesting. So this is what I'm going to put right on the outside of that edge. There we go. Get that nice and straight on there. Okay, so you've got a real nice kind of hill and valley look going with that. And to do that, all I did was take these two dies, cut them at the same time, and that little sliver that you get in between them gives you that beautiful frame. Okay, so you've got that all in one set. And then let's just cut our sentiment. Let's use this little guy here. I've stamped the thanks, and I've just done it in a black archival. I'm going to pop that flag right over the edge of that. Give it a quick cut. Let me find my plates under here. There we go. And we'll start seeding our flowers with our sentiment. This gives you a really pretty little pierced edge around it. So it kind of just a nice little detail to add to your cards. There we go. So I'm going to cut a tiny piece of mounting foam to put behind that. And that will stick nicely onto my card, and we'll seat that right about there. So I don't want to cover too much of my stained glass. And then to finish off, I've got some glue dots, and I'll put my flowers, a little bit of tulle in there, which I do love. Kind of fluff that up, and I've just tied a little knot in that. Put that like that. I've created two of the classic roses out of the dies, and what I did was I went ahead and cut them out of some card that I had glittered using the copper rose. and then created the flowers. And we've shown this on several videos, so you can look back through any of our earlier videos and see this. So I'm going to go ahead and put these into place. Tied a little bow out of the new white satin ribbon. I've just used the thinner ribbon, and I'm just going to pop that in the middle here, right between the flowers. And we'll just have it kind of peeking out underneath as a little accent. There we go. Nice little edges. And my delicate fronds here, we're going to tuck underneath with a little bit of glue in and around our flowers. It just adds such a nice little accent for those floral elements. And I think I'll just trim this down a tiny bit. Tuck one under here. And one more. I like to do them in threes. And we'll just pop this one right under here, kind of edging out. And there you have it. Isn't that gorgeous? I love the way the stained glass just pops off the page there. And you know, even though it takes a little bit longer because you have to let it dry overnight, I really think it's worth it. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and you'll join us again back soon on our YouTube channel. Thanks so much.